Yeah.
I forgot to record. I think
So
I think Cezanne came first.
is this Gauguin copying Cezanne then?
It could be. I don't know. I don't know enough about this image. My job was to find something that was an 8x10 format or standard format, and have you guys just do the generic armature and and play with it, and giving you some rules, some procedure and how to follow it. And you, for the most part, you guys did. You did very well. Watch the values. Okay, watch it. I don't think his was black in the background. I could be wrong, but I think it got a little too contrasty, and that could be as a result of the acrylics drying darker. Okay, that's just my opinion on that. And I could tell this was acrylics because the harder edges on how things dried.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't wait to see the original, or see the original when I bring it back up here in a minute.
I found the Cezanne. I can send it to you.
Okay, that's fine. They stole from each other. They worked out issues, etc. The nice color. The nice thing about studying the masters too, you do a pretty darn good job. It's worth to frame, just to study. Okay. All right. Any questions?
No, it was a fun first try.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's hope it keeps getting funner and funner.
Is that watercolor or acrylic?
That was acrylic.
Oil? Okay.
Okay. All right. Katie.
Yes.
Wow. That really holds together nicely. You're starting to understand color.
Well, yeah, you've helped me a lot in the last class, really covered that well.
Okay. When you see things too contrasty, it sometimes means that you're just not blending enough, right? Mm-hmm. But in this case, everything's soft and muted. You've got a beautiful approach to this painting at this stage. Nothing is screaming at me. Now, when I bring up the original, something might scream at me. I'm also looking, if you squint your eyes, everybody, and you're asking yourself, if you see the original, what the focal point is. Usually the highlights on fruit or whatever is going to be a focal point. All right? So I think you have stopped probably 92.75% of the way finished with this. I think you could probably now start to move into a little more highlight area.
Okay.
So in other words, I'm just going to give something that might be reminiscent of a highlight. I'm not looking at his work. I'm just using my own instrument here to just try to bring out something that's reminiscent of highlight.
Okay.
All right. It's a little bit flat, in other words. You've stopped at the halftone, but let's see what the highlight is. And same with in the back, those images in the back. Right now, without that highlight on the orange or whatever it is, those yellow images in the back here and here are really drawing our eye. That becomes a focal point.
Mm.
Okay, so you've got to, be a little more decisive and take it to the end. Same with the pear on the side here. It's not going to be hard to do. It's not going to take much. You just have to remember, what is the focal point, and then how is he getting that to be a focal point? Are there contour lines? Are there directional lines that are leading the eye there? Is it surrounded? Is a color a focal point? And if so, why? Is it the value contrast, or is it color temperature contrast, or is it intensity of color contrast? These are all the things you need to diagnose so the patient doesn't die. Okay. But I do like this, and it's not done yet. I'm glad you signed it, though. Very important you sign your work. Because that also, if you don't know what else to do and you sign it, sometimes it's like, I didn't finish it. You go back and finish it. It's telling the subconscious, you're fooling the subconscious into trying to find a better answer for things.
I like the way the pear overlaps the plate, so you avoided the
Yes.
tangent problem.
Yep. Yes. And that probably could have been done down here as well. Just a little bit. Let's go down below. So you could have,
You know, Cezanne has it pretty,
what? You know, just do
The
something.
original has it.
Cezanne has it sitting on that line pretty much, so.
Yeah.
Damn rule breaker. God, you stay within the lines. Yeah, I'm going into your drawing right now. I'm just bringing out a little bit of a highlight there. What I did, I just brought out a little half tone. And then on the right hand side of that orange, I'm going to go in, I'm going to get a little reflected light on that right side here.
Ooh, yeah, that's great.
Because the pear is reflecting light back into that side.
Mhm.
Okay. And this could probably, speaking of pear, I could probably make it a little bit lighter as well. Easier said than done sometimes. Okay. Anyway, fun.
Okay.
Fun
Thank you.
zone.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Okay. Last, and then Dylan, are you here? Okay. All right. So whose is this? This is Piedmont. Sandy. Okay, another watercolor. Fun. Okay. Aren't it, you know, the colors are happy. You've got happy colors.
Well, the artist wasn't happy painting it. It was trying to replicate an oil painting with watercolor. I just overworked it. I wasn't happy with it.
An oil painting with watercolor. Yeah, try doing the opposite. Try doing using a watercolor and replicating it with oils.
I'm sure that would be more difficult.
Yeah, it's a challenge too. Yeah. I mean, some paintings are meant to be painted in watercolors. It works, right? Not oils. And vice versa. They just need to be expressed in a certain medium. It's the master's job to recognize which one would work best, just due to the nature of that medium. So, yeah. So anyway, it looks like you had fun. Fun. Did you do your armature on this too?
I did. I just erased it because it was watercolor. I didn't want it to show through, so I tried to erase most of it.
Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. All right. One thing about doing watercolors and still lifes, you're probably going to want to work on, and that's more wet into wet approach to your painting. So recognizing when you have shapes like this, that you can wet the entire surface of it, and then bleed into it your colors, so they have softer transitions and not hard lines all over the place.
That's actually what I would have instinctively done, but again, my approach was to try and replicate what the original image was, and that was not the best approach.
Got it. Okay. I am just pointing out the obvious so you can explain it to everybody. This is
Okay.
Yeah, it challenges you. I'm happy. And then you get you have an understanding of why he painted it. Do you still think, everybody, that he painted it in watercolors?
No.
No. It looks like he used oils. Okay.
Cezanne oils.
Okay.
I think it's an oil.
I can see Cezanne's, but I can't find Gauguin's online.
Okay. All right. Well, either way, tell me, are you using like a pastel here?
No, that's watercolor.
That's watercolor. So how did you get all these this rough edge on this?
Are you talking about the black line?
No, I'm talking about. Can you see the image right now? The red.
Yeah, that was it's layers.
It's layered.
I,
Okay.
yeah.
More of a dry brush technique.
for the bright, yes.
Okay. Okay. Pretty color. See, you know, I hope you had fun just with color alone.
Mhm.
It looks like you did. And I like this shape right there. That's really cool. Looks like a bird or something.
Or something.
Yeah,
Dinosaur.
or looks like a Miro. Oh, wait. There we go. Now it looks more surreal. But you see, because of the shapes, how surrealism comes into play, and how Miro and Kandinsky and those guys were working with their shapes, which you will see today, by the way. This is a really great way to end this right now, is looking at these shapes where, you know, you see, let me get better color here, where you see these shapes are kind of graphically represented. Like so, coming together. Watch out for the tangent there. That and like this, okay? There's reasonings behind that. So you must learn to look deep within a painting that you're looking at to find other possibilities. When these artists are working, they're seeing it up close and from far away, and they're tying shapes together and creating beautiful avenues of exploration for the viewer.
Are those leaves, all of those leaves? I was wondering when I was doing mine.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, they drank a lot of absinthe back then. So. You know,
That makes sense.
it makes sense. All right.
Totally.
Now, if there's anybody's work that I did not cover here, wait, Lola, you here? Lola?
Yes, I'm here. Thanks.
Ah.
Yeah, the photo I sent you is really pale compared to what I have. This is it here, if you can see the camera.
I
And
believe.
the original.
Okay, so the term is washed out.
Yeah, I somehow washed it out. I don't know how that happened, but one thing I've noticed looking at the original
Yeah.
is the horizon on the left side when you're looking at the painting is slightly higher than on the right side.
Yep.
So that I evened it out, and
Yeah.
you would actually, it would be dropped down toward the little heart shape.
Oh, I see. All right, so you actually you raised it.
I raised it, and I think a few other people did too, just out of maybe subconscious instinct. I was looking at a few,
Well,
and
yeah, because look what it did. Now you no longer have that tangent.
exactly. My
Yeah.
pear looks a little pregnant. Let's put it this way: I'm not a forger yet.
No, but we can, you know, this is only the first class towards that, so don't worry about that. Okay? You're not expected to graduate after the first class, so to forger school. All right, I like this. I like your armature. You're doing just fine. This is pastels, yes?
Yes, it's pastel.
Yeah.
I really like the pastel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well, I come from drawing, life drawing classes, not color. So I'm working on whether I'll be a watercolorist or get into oils. I don't know yet, but pastel I'm more comfortable with because it's closer to pencil.
Right. And then eventually you'll move to acrylics and oils and watercolors. And watercolors is probably the most difficult of all the mediums to handle. So
Yeah, I did gouache for Paige Wilson's color theory class and discovered that very quickly.
Yeah, yes. So don't worry about this. This is all good. It's just an exercise. And you know, and thank you for making the attempt on it. And I will look, you know, if you do send it to me, I will look at the richer variation of this. But there are adjustments that you can make. Did you shoot it with your iPhone? Did you photograph this image with your iPhone? Hello?
You're muted.
I did it with the iPad and I couldn't get lighting. So then I went in to try to brighten it, and that was the mistake. I was trying to match it up to the actual original, and none of my pastel sticks could emulate that gorgeous green, that intense electric blue green that he had going. So yeah.
Okay. Well, remember, this is basically just a composition and design class, so it's more about the shapes coming together as opposed to the color, color relationships. But
what I am proud about is I did not trace this. I used the armature to lay out the shapes, and I learned a lot from that. So yeah.
Yay!
Away from tracing.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I interject a comment here?
Interject, sir.
Just in passing, and it relates to the comment about the washed out color, and the subject here, the actual work that everybody's working from is a very rich work.
Yeah.
But I had occasion to see an exhibition of Cezanne watercolors back in 1967 or 68 at the Pasadena Art Museum. And there was a washed out feel to those watercolors. I mean, maybe the pigments faded over 100 years, but this has very much, you know, a lighter feel like those actual watercolors. So.
Well, and it's also whomever promotes that image on the internet may also saturate the picture. So we don't really know what the original looks like. We're just taking it for granted. But thanks for that tip. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else on here that I did not view? Anyone else? And if you send something to me, let me know. I'll ask one more time. Is Dylan here? Okay. Well, we won't go into her work then. Okay, so that's homework. All right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we take a quick 4-minute stretch, and then we'll get started with the class. Okay. All right. Sound good? 4 minutes.
Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Turn off recording.
Oh, yes. Pause recording. All right, everybody. Everybody back? This is the image that we worked from. Let me get a larger variation on it here. I'm going to annotate here a second. Let's do a spotlight. Okay. Can everybody see this? All I need is one thumbs up. Somebody? Anybody?
We see it.
Yes.
All right,
Yes,
good.
I can
Thank
see it.
you. Because I don't see you. So,
Yes.
all right. So, you know, you guys did really well. When you look at this, what I'm noticing now, the more I look at it, I'm seeing another pear back here. See, it's on a stem. This is another pear. And I think this is, I'm having trouble. I'd have to ask him, is that another pear or is that a leaf? I'd have to ask him. Say, what are you doing? Why that shape? But again, I love the heart shape. I do see this here, this tangent that was deliberately created. And that's okay, because what it's doing, it's drawing attention to it. It's also flattening the space. Okay, and you can see the ambiguity. The value of that tangent was so dark that it actually brings it forward and it takes away any depth or possibility that that form has depth. Okay, it brings the edge of the plate, which is underneath it, closer to us than it needs to be. But then again, look what he does over here on this side. You notice how he has a lost edge here. We know darn well that that probably went and tied into the shape here. But again, to allow for a more dynamic approach and allow the viewer to fill in the blanks with the imagination, he eliminates the contour line there. So it's all good. Everything's good. And I like the way also he did this as well. Look at the value between this outline, which does break the plane of the ellipse of the plate, okay, in comparison to the value here. So again, it's just a matter of priority, and it could be a half a degree, it could be 2 degrees difference, 5 degrees difference, etc. But you got to squint your eyes when you're looking at things and see what the value changes are, because they're all deliberate. They're not haphazard. He knows what he's doing.
You a spatial read.
What's that?
It gives you a spatial read.
Yes.
Creates dimension.
All within the format. Okay. So this was what I showed you last week that I did with that one with my armatures. Now I could have kept going and kept going and kept going, but I didn't want to. I didn't need to. It could have been a total spider web. And I'm not saying that he did this, but I just know that he understood armatures and he understood the shape relationships and the intersections of these eyes. So when he would draw, he would compare to everything that was going on and compare the negative spaces to the positive spaces, etc. Yes, Kurt?
It's Kurt. It's so interesting to me, having now painted this image and seen a dozen interpretations of it, that I now can make much better sense of that morass of green at the top than I could last week when you first showed it to us.
So this morass that's on the top right here, yes?
No, the top left, that morass of leaves and other stuff.
Oh.
Now makes much more sense to me than it did when I first saw it a week ago.
Okay. Well, here's an interesting thing. Look at how that cool green, let's just go to this one here. Look at how this cool green here harmonizes with the cool green in the background. He's got the same black and green, or black and Prussian blue mix and white to cool it down. That's harmonizing with this mass here. And this over here, this is a brownish green. This is a warmer green. Okay, so these variations in temperature here that he's showing us. And then, of course, look at how he surrounds the stem with, something that's harmonizing from this same family over here. And then to integrate, he's coming over and he's putting some of that here. This is more intuitive than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, but these are, so you're working multidimensionally here. You're working with altering the hierarchies through temperature variation and value and color intensity. So for instance, this gray green here is helping to make this more intense. If you want to take an existing color that may not be so intense and make it look intense, you need to surround it in some area with its complement.
Thomas?
Yes.
Just one more sort of point of mechanics here. I'm realizing that I did my color work on the basis of an image that I printed out on my printer. Yes. Which was a very unfaithful representation of this piece of work.
Yes. Yeah. So
I'm going to work from a computer screen image rather than from a printed image, I think, in the future.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. A laptop, iPads are great. Okay. Yeah. When prints are made, they're less intense. They have less luminosity to them. Okay, so good luck getting that luminosity on your canvas, because there are varying ways of working with transparent colors to intensify what it is we're looking at. But that's good that you're making that observation, because now you have choices of what to do.
I think all the images were wonderful, though. I really enjoyed the variations.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Me too. All right, moving along. Moving along. Okay, did everybody, remember I said we were going to talk about the camera lucida? Okay, the camera lucida, say yes. So good, you're nodding your heads. Yes, this is good. Okay, I'm going to hook this up here. This is an example of a camera lucida here, which you should all have downloaded. I think it's free. I could be wrong. It might be $1.99. But this is a painting done by William Oddie, famous Santa Barbara, California impressionist, done around 1913 up on Eucalyptus Hill in Santa Barbara. And so this is, again, this is the same format here that you just worked on, basically, like an 8x10 format. And so when you diagnose an image, this is a generic armature done over that using the camera lucida. Okay, so remember doing this armature last week. Okay, all the corners going to the midpoints of each side and then working out the rule of thirds. You get to kind of see where his composition lies. Look at how he put this tree right dead center here, and where this eye is leading you off into the distance here, and where this line here lines up with the tree here. Okay. This is an example of one of my paintings that I did a couple of months ago. And I did not use the camera lucida, and I didn't use an armature for it, but I did afterwards, I did put that camera lucida to that image to see where I was with my alignments, just for fun. Okay, you can see how my wall is right on that rule of thirds here, how that belfry kind of falls in place here, how that edge, that's one line here, lines up with that. Okay, there's all these possibilities. Look at the edge of this tree, how it lines up in that corner here. So it was comforting for me to know that I was on the right track.
Nice painting.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do something here I've never done before. I'm going to share. Let's see if this works. I'm going to share my camera. Let's see. I'm going to go up to a. Let's see if this works. I'm going to.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
The camera lucida, is it $9.99 on like the app?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just looking it up.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
$9.99?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, well, I'm going to try to see if I can get this to work here. I'm bringing up my, okay, that's working. So I'm going to go onto the app, okay, the Camera Lucida app. And here it is here. All right, and I'm going to, I'm going to bring in, I should have practiced with this before I came here. Let's see. I'm trying to find the app. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to go onto my albums. I'm going to go onto my design albums here. That's photos, albums. I have a, I have one folder that has all design elements in it. Okay, and I could draw upon these at any time. And I'll just say, I'm going to.
You just passed design fundamentals. Oh, right. Sorry.
What's that? Okay, you can see everything I've got on my
Yeah.
phone here. All these things I can reference at any time. But what I was going for which isn't right here immediately, and I'm a little disappointed about that. I'm going to bring up an armature. Okay, here we go. I'm going to come close with another image, so you can kind of see what I go through to have it work. And I'm not. Oh, I guess I missed it. Stand by. Let's just see if this one will work here. Let's try this. Okay, this is kind of a generic armature right here. All right, so you can see that. I'm going to bring my camera up like so, and I'm going to use the camera Lucida. And maybe that's not going to work. Hold on. Keep standing by. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got this on my iPad. Now you can hardly see the image through it, but I have this armature now. You can see the image on my iPad. Yes, everybody can see that?
Yes.
That's a photograph that I took at the beach, at Butterfly Beach. And I can darken the armature over it if I want. Or I can take a photograph with that armature of anything that's out in front of me. So I can align different shapes within that subject if I want. But now, can you see, as I get darker with the armature, how I compose that picture, because that one line is actually lining up with the point over there by Butterfly Beach. It's got that proximate location. You could also see the horizon line where Santa Barbara lines up at the eyes, or the where the focal points could be, the 4 focal points. So once I get that, here, let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna try not to screw up. Stand by. I'm gonna take a picture and we'll see what happens. Sorry for the confusion. All right, here this is. Now I'm gonna take a picture, and then I can do that. Okay, now I'm gonna stop it. Like so.
You're not using the camera Lucetta thing, are you? You're just using something.
Yes.
That
no,
is it.
Yeah. Okay. So.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah. So I just took this picture, and let's see where it came out here. I've got to go onto my images. I can use this armature anywhere I'm looking. I can use it at my my laptop, or I can use it in my looking out my window. Okay, and I can compose things. I can turn it vertically, for instance. I can compose imagery, and I can align things with those with the subject matter that I'm looking at, supposedly. And then I can take a picture of it and utilize that for drawing. Okay, so let's see what happened here. It's all new. I'm going to do a new share. Okay. Oh, joy. Okay, so there we are. There we are again. Okay, that's looking out my window. Okay, and I'm going to bring the armature in, so I can align what I'm seeing with that armature. I can put shapes where I want them to go and line them up. I can snap a photo from this, and then I could compose it on my board or whatever it is I'm working on. Okay, so there you go. All right, now I'm going to go back to sharing my iPad. Actually, I'm going to go back to sharing this now. Get rid of this. Okay, you should all be seeing my my iPad now, or my desktop. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Boy, That was busy. Okay, so the whole idea is to get here. That's what that was also from the camera Lucida. So you can see with that general generic armature where things line up. Okay, so I would hope you guys download it and play with it. This image here that I showed you and you all copied last week, you can use that. You can go online. They have all kinds of armatures online you can download for free, okay? And the whole idea is just to get you aware of space relationships, space and shape relationships, all right? Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Stand by. I'm going to do this. And now we're going to watch something here. I put together this PowerPoint for, let's get rid of that. Preliminary sketches. Here we go. We're going to talk about thumbnails, okay? The way to make better ideas happen is to plant the seeds through doing thumbnails. This is a couple ideas. You can see how in thumbnails you can tie shapes together. You can get placement happening within your format. Okay, these are thumbnail sketches of traditional landscapes. Okay, your sketchbook that I gave you should have a whole bunch of these in it eventually, if they don't already have them. All they are dealing with is the placement of shapes and value arrangements. Some square formats, some horizontal, okay? It's just a place to work out ideas in advance and get as many problems solved. So when you go on your journey to do a painting, you've already been there. You know where to go. You've got a roadmap for the subconscious. Okay, here's some examples of thumbnail sketches that are just contours in design. There's no value studies here. But still, there are choices that are being made on where to place shapes within the format. Other possibilities. Look at this. You've got a road here. You've got the road here. And you've got another road here. They're all variations on how to make it a better shape. All right, let's do this. Here's examples here. You've got a boat. Okay, look at these different possibilities. Would it work better? Would this composition work better with a horizontal, a vertical, or a square format? These are some pretty elaborate thumbnails. I mean, the artist really got into the value schemes here. Okay, making the highlights of the clouds the prominent voice. Look at the horizon line, how low it is in order to influence the grandeur of the sky. The diagonals here, the half tones. We're also looking where the artist is using more hatching, almost tone, and then darkening with hatching to make things more pronounced and contrasty. This is an interesting thumbnail approach here. The entire drawing here, and look what that thumbnail is doing here. It's just kind of cropping. More elaborate thumbnails, working out design patterns. We talked earlier about coming up with the L-shaped cropping device. I don't have one of these. I've had them before in the past, and I probably could use them. These are really great for constructing collages or cropping things out in a painting that you are going to cut up. Okay. Also now different ways of doodling, light, dark contrasts. Okay. Patterns. Any one of these can become a painting, but the initial understanding and ideas have to start somewhere. And this is where they all begin. Could become an entire series. Okay, still lifes. This is what I'd like you all to do again, is create still life pattern, but in this case, studying different possibilities for shapes. I don't see any armatures going on here, and that's fine, but you notice that the difference in perspective that's going on between the artist and the shapes. So this is more of, your eye is more at this level here. Your eye is about a foot taller now, looking down, and now you're looking down into the shapes here. So you're changing your perspective, basically. This is more of a 3-point or a 4-point perspective here. This is why still lifes, again, are one of the best ways to learn design, because they don't always have to be traditional, straight across the board, you know, eye level type of work. They can be interesting, like this one, looking down into the shapes. So here's an example in a design of a still life. The shapes within the shapes, the cropping of the edges, the running them off the pages, all within a square format. Now, understanding, if I were to draw an armature on this, it would be interesting to see where all these areas of interest line up within the armature. This is a Brunei. This is a simplified tonal value patterns happening just so the artist knows where they're going to go in creating and establishing their final piece. So over this Brunei, which is harmonizing in brown, looks like a raw umber to me, the color is then laid in, dark to light. Looks like they're choosing different colors than they're looking at, doesn't it? This is the
Yeah.
original color here. So they're totally choosing different colors. Very interesting. So that means, you know, you can do that. They kept this bowl the same and this cup the same here. Okay, pretty much. Actually, I take that back. Nothing is the same. But that's, you know, that's where the artist grows. They just seeing the values, basically. Turning this into a pink plate. The blue into a pink. Not easy to do. Okay, this is a woman that I would study. I do study. I love her work. These are all small, like 4x4 and 6x6 sketches here in oils. Her name is Carol Marine. So design-wise, she does what they call a painting a day, right? And so you see the richness of her colors, but you also see the harmonies. You see how she chooses to simplify shapes and tie shapes together. She understands color intensities, color values, color temperatures, etc. Look at the beautiful reflected light here.
How do you spell her name?
M-A-R-I-N-E, Carol Marine.
Okay.
Okay. Look at the beautiful transparency of this here. But you can also see that in her underpainting, you see the warm tones coming through. This is probably a burn umber color that's allowed to come through in her painterliness. Look at this beautiful reflected light down inside here. If you study Wayne Thiebaud, you'll see a similar approach to his paintings as Carol Marine. Actually, Carol Marine to his paintings. Okay, more thumbnails. Again, this is where it all begins. You get the ideas This is more of an illustrator's comp board. You might have an art director there, and the art director says, I have this idea, and the illustrator has these deliberate frames, these 3.1618, I'm sorry, 1.1618 golden mean rectangles, because that's pretty much the size of the cinematography, the tools that they use for cinematography, that formatting. So, but the illustrator knows possibilities of diagonals and composition and where the shapes are going to go, how to draw something from different angles, how to draw them from different angles, how to get something to happen, and make it more interesting. So they're always looking for diagonals and foreshortening and all these beautiful techniques. One of the things that they had us do in when I was going to school in design was take a simple instrument. It could be an eraser, it could be a cup, whatever. And you were to, from one location, you were to draw it from as many different locations in your mind, in your mind's eye. So from up above 3/4, up halfway, underneath, the other side of it, or the other side below, or the other side above. You draw it without moving your location. So it really pushes you to use your imagination to get the thumbnails to work. Here's some more extensive studies of thumbnails that involve also graphic design, graphic shading, value studies, big dynamic shapes. More. These are all highly professional renderings here. This is what they do in Hollywood. This is what they do in Hollywood. Okay, light, dark, contrast, more drama, big dynamic shapes, and these are all small. I once went to Disney to interview an artist. His name is Sonny Pinchapong Yang, and it's a hell of an impressionist painter. But he works doing storyboards for Disney. And I walked into this room, and there on the side wall was the entire wall was a large plexiglass light table. And it was full of nothing but thumbnails, no larger than this in reality. And it was just full of them. And the idea was the thumbnails is where it all starts. The artist would have a scene that they were trying to communicate with, and they would come up with variations in design, and then they would put them on the light table or the light wall, and the art director would come in and say, go this direction, or go this direction for this scene, or maybe for this one other scene, yeah, I like this. How about going and imagining yourself from here, looking down into that from here? Okay, so that's the whole principle behind the thumbnail sketches. I'm going to move on.
So how big are those? Like the ones you were just showing?
Just like that's about real size right there. That's probably about an inch and a quarter to an inch and a half by, maybe 2 3/8 inches, or 2 5/8 inches. So wow. That's probably 1 1/4 inches by 2 5/8 inches.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for those of you who are not aware of the Nighthawks by Edward Hopper, the reason why it's considered one of the great iconic masterpieces of the 20th century, this is, I think, one of the reasons, because these are the preliminary sketches that he did for that painting. He didn't do it on location, but he did charcoal sketches, and he created something out of his imagination based on buildings that were in one neighborhood here. So this is good to watch and look at his process here, this design based in this particular format. You can see how every time he approached it, he realized something more and more and more. Okay, these are the studies that he did of himself. I think his wife probably photographed him from the back under different lighting, and of course, and now he's studying. He's doing value renderings of that form for eventual placement in that painting. This is his wife.
These are very cool.
Yeah.
Can you view those online or?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, just put in preliminary sketches for Edward Hopper's Nighthawks. This is his wife. These are all the studies. You look at, he's studying her hand. You know, how is he going to get this? He's becoming more realized just by doing little thumbnail sketches. Look at even the underside here. He's trying to realize what the shape patterns are going to be. So when he goes in and starts to paint it, he has a better understanding. Then he starts to get into the values of what it is he's after here. The value patterns. If you want to make something look lighter, you place something darker next to it. Look at this preliminary sketch. This is probably the very first preliminary, value sketch. This one looks a little more realized, a little more hard edged. This is probably the one he might have done on location, just to get a feel for it. Then he gets a little bit darker in another study. Here, starts to figure out what the figures are going to be doing here. Look at how he has this going on in the background here. This is all invented, by the way. Look at how he took that out, changed the format, and now he's getting more into dark light patterns in here. A little more communication going on between the couple there. This man is still here in the corner. A little more contrast on the window here, but he's developing chiaroscuro. Look at how he even has writing on the windows here. And here's the final painting. How it all came out.
Oh, beautiful.
Pretty interesting, huh? And here's what it looks like on the wall. So what's been fun is if you look up parodies or parodies on the Nighthawks, you're going to see a lot of images that people will use this icon and they'll have like an alligator sitting here looking through the window, or the Batmobile pulled up over on the side, or, you know, it's just hilarious what people have done.
Did he switch the position of the man and the woman at the bar?
No, doesn't look like it. Nope. It looks like the hat. See the hat? He's got a hat on.
I see.
Yeah. But see here, they're communicating. They're talking to each other. And in his final painting, he has nobody talking, except maybe this guy's saying something to him. So it's all open to interpretation. Okay.
Thomas,
yes.
does he explain in any kind of biography or anything how he did, how he just made decisions like that or not?
That I'm not aware of, but I'm sure you can do research on it and get his feedback.
Yeah.
If he was ever
like why he changed the guy from talking.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to dialogue with him. What was his process? I mean, we're lucky to just be able to see his preliminary sketches.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, come on. I mean, how in this day and age, for the common Joe, which I consider myself the common Joe, to have access to this imagery and come up with an interpretation on his process it's fantastic. I mean, it could only serve to make me a better artist and improve art in general. So we are so lucky to have the internet now and have this to explore and enrich our lives in that respect. So speaking of enriching lives, yeah, what?
Well, what's interesting to me is it's such a strong narrative painting, but you see the construction process there.
Yeah.
How much time and effort was put into the mechanics of orchestrating all the elements to make them work. You know, the end result is the narrative, but it starts out with a lot of attention to the foundations.
Right. So I have a PowerPoint. It's called Art Imitates Life Imitates Art. And in my research, in 1935, I found a watercolor done here in LA, and it was a nocturne of a cafe scene looking from outside into the window. And there were a couple of these in the window. And in you know, I thought, oh, so that's where he got his idea.
Hmm.
Because he did this in 1941. Either 41 or 47. Somebody check me on that one. Anyways, and I thought, okay, so again, you see something, it's like, oh, that reminds me of so-and-so's painting. I could improve upon that. I can move something else. And I'm intrigued by the light, you know, the chiaroscuro. And so, you know, and the hard edges and things, you know, that's quite the feat to put out there. Now, speaking of inspiring, so this is Van Gogh. This is an ink drawing here with hatching. I'm sure he did it all in pencil first, and then he just went through and he organized his hatching skills and values. If you squint your eyes, you can kind of see where he wants you to go through direction lines. Okay, direction lines and hatchings, and look at the pointillism that's up here in the top. All those things that you were dealing with in that very first homework assignment, he's applying here.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So he also said, you know, it is a waste of your time if you do not do or spend time doing preliminary sketches. So many works of art could be greater if you do spend that time. So there's that one. Then on top of that, he comes
Beautiful.
and does the same image, okay, in pencil and watercolor. Pencil looks like gouache, actually. Maybe a little watercolor, and maybe yeah, it looks like he used gouache for the sky. It's a little blue in there, but he's starting to investigate even atmospheric perspective by putting blue, looks like colored pencil almost, on the mountain there. So if you squint your eyes, it's starting to get tonal. It's starting to bring out some of the atmospheric qualities that he's about to embark upon here. But again, the armature is a dead ringer. If you were to do an armature on this, it'd be interesting to see where, you know, he juxtaposes all of his shapes.
Yeah.
The card is pretty much in the middle.
Yeah. Yes, but if you squint your eyes, you can see it's slightly offset. It's slightly offset.
Yeah.
This almost looks like a root 2. But anyways, now he's entering into more watercolors, more highlights on the clouds. It's just still a pen and ink, but it's a different pen and ink. Still utilizing some of the variations and patterns to scribble. Still has people off in the distance. He's just sneaking up, but he's getting to know this better and better and better every time he approaches it. Now, you can't trust what you see on the internet. These colors are really beautiful. However, I think this is the same image. But
can you show us that, Thomas?
Here you go. You see the watermark here? Yeah, that there? Okay, there it is here. So these are two different interpretations of the same image based on a digital process. So I would venture, based on how the final painting came out, that this is closer to the real, you know, what it looks like in reality, this particular watercolor, as opposed to this. This one's darker and cooler and bluer, and this one's lighter and warmer, because here is the original. Okay.
Thomas, am I looking at just you?
Why are you looking at just me?
I am. Yeah, I don't, yeah, are you showing us something? Does anybody else see something else other than Thomas?
Yeah.
You got the wrong thing going.
We see them. Look up in the corner and
You got to spotlight my video, maybe? Do you spotlight my video? I'm sharing my...
Oh, maybe I did, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll try to figure it out. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Worst in scenario is that you can... This is
Very top.
being recorded. So...
Up at the top is
Right.
view options.
View options. Oh, okay. All right. For those of you who don't know, this is the Night Cafe. He's also known for, he only did maybe 5 nocturnes, but he's known for his nocturnes. So this is the Night Cafe in Arles. This is the preliminary sketch that he did for it. Again, and now we see it as this masterwork. Here, let me see if I can enlarge this here.
I did that in a jigsaw puzzle.
You did, all right.
So I know his colors.
Yes.
It made me nuts.
Awesome.
Different color.
So again, you know, he didn't just show up and just start painting. No, he really worked out his designs in advance. So the final painting, which is larger, makes sense. It makes sense. And this is Monet. This is the Monet preliminary sketch. It's just scribbles. And that's all we need are scribbles. Because in the end, it comes out like this.
The Gare Saint Lazare station.
And look at all these variations on that he worked out. Okay, he's in the neighborhood. He's getting to know it. He can smell the coal and the steam and the sounds and the perfume of the ladies, and you know it's pretty gritty. Okay, example again, Monet's preliminary sketches on what he was seeing. This is a preliminary sketch for, and these are two preliminary sketches for the Haystack series. Correct. He knows the design, but again, he's thinking about his format. His format is dictating where the shapes are all going to align. This actually, look at this. It looks like a postcard. See the stamp?
Yeah.
You sent it out. Okay, and there's another variation on it. Once you have your design solid, it's all about what you as an artist does to explore it further via color schemes, via textures, abstract shapes, whatever. You can do whatever you want. You can have an entire series from one design. Here's another. And, okay, I think this is the last one here. And here's an example of preliminary sketches. He's on the cliffs there. Look at his format is here. Okay, but then you can see how he experiments with cropping it to make it a more impactful design. So there's the image. All right, there's another one. So he's working on two, and he's working with color schemes, more from complementary points of view. So there you go. There you get to see both of the preliminary sketch and the, the final image there worked out. And there's the other one. See, this is more squarish. It's because he squared it off. But look at how much space there is between here and this one and that one. So he didn't necessarily stick with this one, but he definitely he enlarged it. Beautiful colors. Okay, so that's it. That is that. Ta-da! Okay. So
Awesome.
thumbnails are tantamount. I don't want you ever working again without doing a thumbnail sketch. Okay? All right, now it's your turn. It's your guys' turn. We did the rule of thirds, generic armature. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to get into the golden section, golden mean, etc. All right, what I want everybody to do, get a piece of paper. Get a piece of paper out or a board. I need you, if you have your clear rulers, remember the clear rulers that you were supposed to get? The 2-inch by 18-inch rulers.
Got it.
All right, get those out. I am going to attempt to do a quick demo, but what I want you to do, let's see, let's do a 2-inch by 2-inch square on your board. 2-inch by 2-inch square. That is what you are being requested to do. Two-inch by 2-inch square. And if you would please make it over, if it's not too late, if you haven't already started, make it over to the left-hand side of your paper. All right, now I have a smaller format here, so I'm going to I'm gonna do something else.
This, and Thomas, will we be painting eventually on this or just drawing on it?
No, this is just drawing. This is
Okay.
just to get you, remember, all these, the more perfect the design, the stronger the piece. And we did the generic armatures and the rule of thirds armature. We're moving into a more perfect armature. So again, it's those magical lines that exist within a rectangle that magical lines that exist within a rectangle, magical lines and intersections, which will give you a better product. Okay, so when you've got that on there, I'm almost done with mine. I'm gonna do a demo here. You're gonna need your string too. Do you all have string?
Yeah.
If you have your string with you, you're gonna need it. Let's see, that's I'm using this iPad and I'm using the Procreate, and we'll see how well it does. Okay. All right, so I'm going to do a new share here. I'm going to bring it up on the iPad. Come on, Seabiscuit. Where are you? You're hooked in. Cancel. Okay, resume share. New share. Oh, wait. Stand by. I'm trying to operate 3 systems on this now. All right, we'll try this again. All right, there's my iPad. All right, so y'all see my square?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, what I want you to do, I want you to draw a, oh, shoot. See, every time I touch this thing, a line disappears. I don't like that. Damn. Draw your Baroque diagonal. Draw your Baroque diagonal like so. Baroque diagonal like so. Okay. And now, okay. I want you to use your string, tie it around your pen or your pencil. Okay, I want you to put that pencil on the top right corner of that, where that Baroque diagonal intersects. And then holding the string, I want you to have that on the left corner where the Baroque ends. Okay, and then once you got it, I want you to swing it down in an arc like so, like that. Okay, voila. That's pretty close. I'm gonna extend it a little bit more. Very slippery on this iPad. Okay,
Can you say that again? Can you give those instructions again? I missed them.
Can you see? Yeah. Can you see the? Can you see what I just did? Can you see the?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but where were you holding the pencil and the string?
Okay, the pencil and the string. The string is wrapped around the pencil. Okay, I put my left thumb at the bottom left of that rectangle, and then the string that's attached to the pencil, I put it at the top right of that that square, and then I just swung the arc down. Okay, I swung the arc.
So the string is attached to the bottom part of the pencil.
That's correct. It's just helping to ensure that I get a better arc.
So the
You're basically creating a compass.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So
the string is at the top?
The string is attached to, if you see, can you see me in my my picture?
I can see your hat.
with my hat. Okay.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, there you are.
All right. So I wrapped it around my pencil like so. Okay. Wrapped it around the pencil. Okay, I'm creating a compass is exactly right. Can you see it?
Yes.
And then I put my left thumb on the bottom left corner of that square. I put the pencil on the top right corner of that square, and then I just arced it down. Okay, holding onto the string.
Just use a compass if we have one right here.
You could, sure.
Left thumb on the bottom left corner.
Bottom left corner, yeah, is holding the string. This is for people who don't have compasses.
Can we, do you have a visual from looking down at what your hand's doing so we can see what you're doing?
My thumb is here. Hold on. My thumb is, oh, I see it on an eraser. My thumb is here. Here's my thumb. And I'm holding the string with my thumb. Okay, you see that? And then the pencil is here.
Okay.
So I hold it tight and I just bring it down. All right?
You hold it tight and then you do what?
I swing it down. I do this. I do this.
So your right hand's on the pencil and your left hand's holding the string, and you just draw down.
Hey, look at all
with
those
your right
beautiful
hand.
things I'm doing here. Yay! I could do a full circle if I wanted to.
Making an arc of a circle.
Yes, an arc of a circle.
Well, yeah, but how?
All right.
The bottom left corner is the center of rotation.
Well, I don't even know what that means.
Okay, well, do you see what I just did? You get that now? Do you get this part here? That's your thumb. Here's your thumbnail. Here's your thumb. Your thumb is holding the string to the bottom left.
You can use any finger. It doesn't have to be a thumb, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
just
trying to
saying.
make it simple. I'm just trying to make it simple. Okay. Yeah, use any finger. That simplifies things for you. And then you'll just arc it down. It'll arc down like so. All right. So once you've arced it, once you get that down there, take a straight edge, and you're going to go 90 degrees to that line. All right. Here we go. 90 degrees to the line, and boom, like so. And then you're going to complete that circle, or complete that by connecting the top two.
That rectangle.
That you're going to make a rectangle out of a square. Okay. All right. This is basically the square is what they call a root 1. Okay. This is a root 2. Okay. 2. Now what I want you to do, I want you to repeat that performance. Okay. I want you to go from the bottom left again, bottom left corner, same beginning with the string or with the pencil. Put your any finger in the that you have available on your left hand, hold that string down, and then you're going to go back up. This time you're going to go to, oh my goodness. This time you are going to go to this corner, okay? All right. Go to that corner and you're going to connect the string and the pencil to that corner and you're going to arc it again, like so. Then you're going to complete the rectangle on both sides. We're going to get you perfect here. Complete the rectangle. You're going to see that each of these rectangles that you're creating are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So this is a root 3. And I want you to do one more. You'll do a root 4. You can go all the way up to root 8. Really long rectangles. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put the string on the bottom left-hand corner, go to that top right, and then I'm going to arc it down like so. Boom. Okay. And now I have myself a root 3 rectangle. Now you might be wondering.
I'm sorry, are you staying at the original point where the string started at where you held it down originally?
Yes, like this.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
See that?
Okay.
every time you you draw that arc and you come up with that new location, you just keep elongating that string and coming up with a new rectangle. So all those magical, what?
Excuse me, Thomas, I have a question. What is the point of
You're
this?
going to learn it in just a second.
Thank you.
The rectangles extend a little less each time, it looks like.
That's correct. So what you're going to find is if you were to do an armature with that, every time even the armature would happen, like in the rule of thirds, for instance, like this, or here, or wherever, this now becomes an important point for an alignment of a shape.
We have 4 roots there, right?
Yeah, we got 4 roots. Thank you. Forgot to put my 4. All right, now I'm going to help you understand why we're doing this, okay? I'm going to end this share, stop the share, and I'm going to do a new share. Okay, there we go. Can you all see this? All right, we're going to go here, we're going to enlarge. This is why we're going to do this here.
And the reason I'm showing you this is to reinforce the impression that there's nothing very sophisticated about what we're doing. The Egyptians use a knotted rope to get a right angle. 3, 4, 5 intervals gave them a right angle, and it also gave them a golden section triangle. Not bad. Pretty simple stuff. So, my first rectangle is based on the diagonal of the square. So if I come up here and I drop that, now I could measure it and just transfer it with a ruler or dividers.
Or use a
like
compass.
using this very sophisticated tool. I much prefer it. So at this point, what we have is a root 2 golden section rectangle. The square we'll call a root 1. Now the sequence is so simple. The diagonal of the square is the baseline of a root 2. The diagonal of the root 2 is the baseline of a root 3. So if we come in here and we drop the diagonal of the root 2, we now have a root 3,
etc. Okay. All right. So we just did this basically. Okay. These are showing a sequence of what we just did and the reasonings for it.
Go outside.
Yes. So this is what we just did here. Okay. I had you guys kind of make these. We could have gone all the way to root 5. When you go to the art store and you buy pre-stretched canvases, okay, pre-stretched canvases, they're all basically these root rectangles here. Okay. All right, but now we're going to move on. Okay. Now it gets better. I want you to, one more time, I want you to do a square, do another 2-inch square. Okay. All right. Do another 2-inch square on your paper, 2 by 2. All right. So you can see me, I'm doing my 2-inch square here. I know it seems kind of wonky, but we gotta have an understanding of where we're going before we get there. There's my 2-inch square. What I want you to do now is I want you to divide it in 2. So you're going to have a midpoint on either side, there and there. You can, if you want, you can actually draw a cross if you want. It doesn't really matter. like so. We're learning about space. We're learning how to divide things so we can place our subject matter logically within the parameters of that format. Okay? All right, then what I want you to do, I want you to take your string again around your pencil or your compass, and instead of putting your string at the Baroque corner, the bottom left-hand corner, I want you to move it to the midpoint of that bottom line there. Okay, I want you to put it here. All right, put it there. And then I want you to extend it up to here like that. And then I want you to do the same process of drawing that arc down. Oops. Drawing that arc down to the plane there. And then I want you to complete that rectangle based on the same principles that we did earlier. Oops. Oh shoot, what did I do? Okay. I want you to draw a vertical and a horizontal from the top. I just hit something on my iPad, and there we go. It's gone. Okay, so a vertical and a horizontal. Okay. All right. This is the golden rectangle or golden section rectangle. This is the basis of everything in the universe, what you're about to see. All right. So if I were to erase all those lines now in between here, erase them so all you had was the perimeter of that rectangle, you can't get more perfect than that as far as a perfect rectangle.
Why don't they make canvases that are that size?
They do. Yes, they do. They've just started making them. I think it's the Monet style or Van Gogh style. They've got a whole cupboard full of them at Art Essentials. And so you're already ahead of the game.
Cool.
All right. And it's just wonderful because then everything's perfect. All right. So this is, again, same man, but he's going to explain it here. Okay. Move on.
Traditionally, we design in a rectangle. And that rectangle has
Not showing up.
I don't see the
Hold
screen.
on.
geometry. It has its own ordered relationships. First of all, we have a pair of vertical lines and a pair of horizontal lines.
We'll go back.
And where they intersect, we're going to call those eyes. Those are implicit.
Don't worry.
So those eyes relate to one another horizontally and vertically.
All right. Can you all see this now?
Traditionally.
No.
You can't.
see you.
Hold on. Stand by.
We see your lovely face.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. You made my day. All right. Here we go. Here's this. Where's my share? Oh, here we go. All right. Zoom class 3. I've lost myself. Oh, here we go. Ta-da! All right, let's try this again. Take 2. Now, can you see my desktop?
Yes.
Okay. Yay. All right, now we're going to do this, and we're going to hit play. You got it now? Everybody good?
Yeah. In a rectangle. And that rectangle has a subterranean geometry. It has its own ordered relationships. First of all, we have a pair of vertical lines and a pair of horizontal lines, and where they intersect, we're going to call those eyes. Those are implicit. So those eyes relate to one another horizontally and vertically, and on the diagonal, they divide this in half. And if we divide this horizontally to establish an echo of that, and vertically to echo this, all of these rectangles have the same proportion as the mother. Any rectangle that has the same angle of a diagonal is the same proportion. So if this measures 1 by 1.5, which would be a 1.5 rectangle, these measure 1 by 1.5 as well. And if I continue breaking them down, they will continue to divide accordingly. So any rectangle that shares the same diagonal will have the same proportions, meaning that the shorter will divide into the longer the same number of times. There's a system of design called the golden section, in which we have golden sections, series rectangles, and we have root rectangles. I'm going to show you one. In the 7th lecture, we will discuss it at length, and in the 9th lecture, we will carry on even further. But it consists initially of taking a square, finding the half, and swinging that down with a compass, and establishing a rectangle that has the proportions of just about the whole of nature inherent in it. I don't know that I'm going to draw everything slightly distorted because I want to stay out of your way so you can see what I'm doing. These calipers are calibrated on the ratio of the whirling squares. And if I open this up this way, that pretty much does, did I do something wrong? That pretty much gives us the square and the ratio. Do you see it? If I take the diagonal of that and I intersect it at 90 degrees from a corner, and I bring that vertical down at that square, because that will give us that division again. There it is. All the bones of my hand are based on that ratio, and the rest of nature is. So what you have to understand is that early man, presumably I wasn't there. Old I am, but not that old. Early man must have sat in his unheated cave, lacking air conditioning or room service, with meteorites pounding the earth, earthquakes stirring up all kinds of havoc, wondering who was running the show. And he had to placate this someone, or group of somebodies, these gods on some hill someplace. So he examined everything in nature. Everything he could get his hands on, he measured. And what he discovered was there was a racial proportion in forming everything in nature. And he assumed, presumably, that he'd decoded the language of his gods. Needing the cooperation and the protection of his gods, he built temples based on this ratio. He put altars in the temples designed on this ratio. He put vessels for libations on the altar tables based on this ratio. When he put effigies of his gods in his temples, they were based on this ratio, because the ratio, the geometry he employed was in effect a prayer. All of Muslimat is based on these systems. All of African secret systems and mysteries are based on these ratios. The Egyptians used it, the Assyrians used it, the Greeks, the Italians, the Renaissance, everybody used it. And yet today, while most of the major older artists do employ it, but pretend that they don't, and will not discuss it, and certainly almost none of them will teach it in the schools that our students go to study in.
Except for me.
youngsters are being taught this, and it is in fact the basis of Western, Asian, African art. You don't put a line down unless you know you're going to put it in a rectangle. You don't put the line down unless you know how long it's going to be. You have to know what direction it's going in. Is it the Baroque? Is it the sinister diagonal of the rectangle? Is it the reciprocal? There are names and there are terms and there are systems, and it'll be my task to teach them to you. So all I ask is that you do your very best to fulfill the assignments.
Yes.
What's his name?
Barnstone. That's about that. I think it's 12 years ago. He created this series. You can buy a whole bunch of these in the series. Okay. All right. So we've done this. Okay. So you're going to hear golden section. You're going to hear 5 rectangle. You're going to have, there's all the same names for the same, all these names for the same type of rectangle. The golden mean, it's all the same one. This is probably, it's a little wonky, but I want you to hear it because it's also dealing with musical tone here on this this process here. Hold on, where are you? There we go. Well, it was anyway. It ain't happening now. Okay, there we go. All right, so what to do? What to do within these rectangles? I'm going to give you a couple of formulas, not formulas, but things to think about when you're drawing within any rectangle, whether it's a golden section or golden mean, which is the same thing, or a root rectangle. Okay, so this is another thing to make notes on about.
Hey everyone, Sakurayasu here, and in this composition lesson, I'm going to be covering scale. So let's start off with a box. And now, is this a big box or a small box? I don't know. Well, let's say I want to make it a big box. What can I do? Well, one of the things I could do is alter the perspective. So I've just brought the vanishing points closer, and then it feels like it's a bigger box because of the distortion that's happening. What else could I do? I could just make the box bigger on the page. But in the end, there's still no real way of knowing whether this is a big box or a small box. So let's just assume it's a big box, but then how about now? It's a small box. So the only way of actually establishing whether something is big or small is by having that object in relationship to another object. So here it looks small because, okay, there's a cat, right? It's like, okay, we generally know how big a cat is, and then so now this appears small. But here I've switched it, so I put a bunch of people, added some clouds, and now this looks like a big box. So pretty much, you know, that's the big point about scale, is that if you want scale, make sure you have things in relationship to it. So if you want something to be big, have other things that maybe normally appear big, have those around it and have those small. And that just gives you a way of knowing the size of things, and especially people, because we know how big people generally are. So when we see a person, then we can tell, like, okay, this box is pretty big because compared to it, the people are this big. And this box is, don't know, just don't know. So again, thing with scale is everything has to be in relation to everything else. And in the next lesson, I'm going to be covering odd-numbered visual elements. So hope this helped, and thanks for watching.
Okay, stand by. So the saying is, in painting, everything's relative to what's next to it. Wait, hold on a
Hey
second.
everyone, Sekar Yasin here,
This is not
and in this
what I want to see. Hold on a second. In painting, everything is relative to what's next to it. So you're constantly adjusting things based on what's next to your subject matter. All right, it's an illusion that we're creating here. All right, so if you want to make something look bigger, put something smaller next to it. Or if you want to make something look larger, okay, or yeah, larger, bigger, or make something look smaller, place something larger next to it. It's all about choices it's all about choices. I'll say that. Okay, here's another one that we can look at here. This is another thing to think about as possibilities of improving design. These are basic
Hey
fundamentals.
everyone, Sekar Yasin here, and in this composition lesson, I'm going to be covering odd-numbered visual elements. So basically, this is something that just states that if you have an odd number of visual elements in your piece, it's going to look more appealing than if you had an even number. So let's bring out a tree here. And if I just have one tree, it looks fine, you know, wherever I put it, it's fine. It doesn't, you know, really distract. This still looks like a background that is somewhat easy on the eyes. But if I bring in two trees, now suddenly you get this feeling of, I don't know, it's drawing attention. It's feels almost like there's a relationship between these two trees. And if you want this for a background piece, it's just kind of weird. So I could put the trees together and that kind of, you know, makes it easier on the eyes. And this, again, it's like, it's a suggestion. It's not something that you always have to do. You can put even numbered visual elements. It's not a big deal. It's just something that, you know, it helps to know that, okay, when you have an odd number of visual elements, things tend to look better. So let's bring a figure into the equation. And so, okay, so here we have a guy, and we have one visual element. Doesn't matter where we put it. It seems, you know, it's fine, because there's this guy and there's this tree. If we have the guy on the other side, it's still okay. It kind of balances it out now because there's three elements, but it's still a bit more awkward than this one.
Sorry.
Okay. So what if we have three trees? Well, that's going to look pretty okay. But you still can have bad composition, like if I do this with the three trees, it's not that good. If I do this, it's better. If I clump these trees together, that's pretty good. Especially if, okay, so looking at the heights, if I do something like this, where this is the biggest tree, and then, you know, like that, it's kind of distracting. But if you vary it, so you would put, you know, the middle in between, then it's less distracting. And here, if I have more trees, like 4 trees, it's more distracting than this one. So odd numbers, just for whatever reason, tend to be easier on the eyes when you have an odd number of elements.
So as you're designing, these are your thumbnails, basically. You can do this in thumbnail sketches. You are eliminating, you're placing things, you're changing sizes of things, and it's all about the relationships of the shapes within the format that you have drawn. Now, the formats that you're drawing should relate to the actual canvas size that you're going to be working on. In other words, if you have a square canvas, you wouldn't be doing your thumbnail sketches in this golden section or golden mean format here. So you want to remember to make the format that you're doing in your thumbnails to replicate the size of canvas or the parameters of that canvas that you're working on. So as he's placing all these shapes all over the place, you're looking at the negative space. You're also remembering the armatures that you are learning about, okay? And how you can make the eye flow around as well within your composition.
And I mean, this is pretty unnatural. Let's say I have this composition though with 4 trees. The reason I think, you know, these rules, you don't have to pay too much attention to them is because if I do something like this and I put this tree here and then maybe these trees together on one side, now it's, you know, somewhat balanced again. So it's just your arrangement of things. And let's bring the figure back. So if I have 1 figure, it's fine. If I have 2 figures, it's kind of strange now. Seems like some things going on, like there's 2 individuals instead of just the figure. Let's bring 1 figure here. And so now we have 2 figures again. But now we have 3 figures and it becomes a group again. So when there's 1, it's just an individual, it's fine. When there's 2, there's almost tension to it. When there's 3, it's fine again. And 4, it's a little bit of tension again, but it's okay. And then 5, now it's good again. So if you're looking at this and you're thinking, you know, that's odd. Well, that's good because odd numbered visual elements are pretty appealing.
All right. He didn't mention the fact that all the figures are the same size, okay, or the same thing. That does weigh on it as well. I would have, you know, at least maybe enlarged one or just to break it up. So that's one thing you need to think about. If you're entering in any patterns that are too much the same, you run the risk of monotony. So
also they're all
your job is to make them all different. All right. So this is a computer artist's demonstration here. You saw how he's moving the shapes around, etc. But you know, as a visual artist that's drawing or painting, you can change things as well. Okay, go ahead. What were you going to say? What was that?
Oh, just that they're all on the horizon line too. He could have brought something forward.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. So you know this, I know this, and now we all know it. And hold on here. And the last one here, same guy.
Uncomfortable. So
hold on. I'm going to get this back. Sedate, alert, and dynamic.
Compositions. So I'm going to start with sedate compositions, and these are compositions that are, you know, calm or peaceful.
Now we're talking mood.
Like this.
Mood.
There's not much action happening, or if there is, it's not intended to make you feel uncomfortable. So the key to sedate compositions is to keep things horizontal. There's a lot of things going horizontal. And yes, you get, you know, you can have curves, but you'll notice like there's not any high mountains that are really jagged. And if they were, I'd really push them to a horizontal feel. So as you can see, there's a lot of horizontal motion. This gives us that very calm, peaceful, sedate feeling. Now the next one is alert. And this is all about the verticals. So here we have a lot more vertical elements in the page. And you could do this with buildings, with anything, you know, even figures. As long as you have your frame and you have a lot of vertical elements, it gives you an alert kind of feeling where it's not the same as the sedate feeling. We're suddenly aware of something. It's not, you know, extremely intense, but it definitely has your attention. And this is, you know, on I'm using a 16:9 ratio frame. So it's very much like a widescreen movie frame. And when I do work with composition, I do like to think of it in this way. If you're doing scenes, you know, with just characters, if it's just a pinup or something, you don't really have to focus on this. But for what this is, you know, if you're thinking in terms of creating a scene, if you're doing illustration or concept art, then these rules apply. And finally, I'm gonna move to dynamic. And this is all about diagonals. So you have diagonals going from the top left to the bottom right. You have diagonals going in the opposite direction from the bottom left to the top right. And this is very action oriented. It's extreme. I have a tilted horizon. This is called a Dutch tilt in film terminology. So all this creates a much more dynamic and action-oriented scene. So basically, just when you approach scenes, keep these things in mind. You know, if you have a lot of horizontals, or if you want to convey a calm scene, think about including a lot of horizontals. If you want it to be alert, so it's not completely, you know, dynamic and action-packed yet, then you can go for vertical. And if you really want to, you know, have action, then go for diagonal. So the next.
All right. So you can see extremes here. Yes. This is just your calm, you know, pleasant day on the prairie. Here things start to change. And then here, this is taking it to an extreme. All right, this is like, imagine the way they used to film the old Batman series on TV. They would have that Dutch tilt to create that more dynamic, action-oriented, make it more exciting for the viewer. So you can have a combination of all three. You can slightly look for diagonals. Diagonals do give this dynamic quality to the composition. So look for diagonals in the future. Okay. Any questions on that? No? Anybody? Okay. Let's see, back to square one. All right, did that. Okay, now. Okay. Now, you can find these on the internet, and I'd be happy to send them to you. But I remember when I introduced you to Andrew Loomis in the first class that we did here on placement, he also went into the psychology around composition. So if you are interested in learning more about the emotional impact that an illustration will have or a painting will have, if you have the knowledge of the research that was done prior, how you might consider composing a painting based on these principles, then you know, more power to you. It all depends on what you're trying to say, and then knowing how to say it. So, for instance, it's just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's look at this one in the bottom left here. Okay, lights. The rays. You know, whenever you see the rays in a sunset, that type of thing. It's said to give hope, love, and ambition. Now, that might be debatable, but, or oblique lines, combat and confusion and clash. So you can see that the verbiage here describes these shapes within these formats to help convey more effectively some form of communication. What is it the artist is trying to say, or what is it that the narrator is trying to say, or the author is trying to say? So I find it pretty interesting myself. We'll also be going over some of the shapes and designs from Edgar Payne, in a future class as well here. Okay, so I'd be happy to send these to you here, but you can see also that the artist here has an understanding of these armatures and where things can line up. He calls it the informal subdivision or activity. Like excitement, elasticity, progress. Here's what we were doing just recently there. Now, these are some basic fundamentals for your designs as well, based on letters and symbols. So he used his own illustrations that he had done in the past and basically deconstructed them into the symbols or letters, as he says. Notice the placement of the figure is slightly offset to the left, giving you variations in form. So variations in shape, positive and negative shape here.
Thomas, did you say you're going to send these to us?
I could do that.
That would be great, because
Okay.
I'm not getting a full screen to get a screenshot.
Yeah, I understand. Oh, wait, how about this? Maybe I can shrink it down a little bit. Stand by. I'm gonna get rid of that. Now I'm gonna go here. Yeah, I'm on a full. Maybe if I decrease this, maybe it'll allow me to shrink it down. Maybe not. Nope, it's not. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just I'll send them to you. But you can find them if you put in Andrew Loomis armatures designs. You'll on images, you'll see all kinds of things out there. But this guy, he's the best. He has done so much work, or he did so much work for us, for teaching and writing books, etc. That we're really lucky to be able to see these now without actually having to attend one of his classes. So.
And Thomas, are these based on, I mean, are you saying that these shapes they're just psychologically, aesthetically pleasing, or are you saying they're based on the golden mean, or is there a scientific basis for them, or just?
Okay, I'm going to answer you right now. Yes, they are. They're psychological, emotional, golden mean, root, all of that, and the basic design armatures. Okay, you can take if you notice all of these rectangles that are before you right now, all have the same proportion. Okay, so he's drawing within those proportions. Okay, if you can do an armature on any one of these, do a rule of thirds, etc., and you'll see that he's paying attention to them. Even though you've got these letters for the basic rhythm of the composition, you'll see that certain elements align with the armatures, the Baroque, the Sinister, the vertices, vertical, horizontal vertices, and the rule of thirds, etc. Okay, these are just the dynamic thrusts of the images here. Okay.
Has anyone done any research on alphabets from other languages like Indian, Hindi or Arabic or Russian?
As far as the calligraphy of their letters and if
and the impact.
That's a good question. Very good question. Because I'm thinking, I immediately went for the the Aramaic or the Islamic calligraphy, and how that would be utilized in a square, a root rectangle, or a golden section or golden mean, and see, do armatures and see how something would line up with that, or if they would be, the basis for the thrust of a design. So that's a very good question. Okay, so we're going to move on. Okay, this is for the real wonky, okay? I'm just going to show it to you. We're not going to have to do this, but this is the level of insanity that can one can move into doing these armatures and having the structures be a basis for your paintings and or imagery that you're trying to create. But now, let's watch this, and we're going to move on. This is another technique. I'm going to show you compositionally. When I say you should have no more than 3 areas of interest within a painting, the focal point, another area that's also interesting but not as interesting, and then maybe a third area that's going to draw your eye to it, but nowhere as important as the second or the first focal point. Okay, so this is a pretty cool demo here.
Hey everybody, Kyle Buckland here with the Art for Souls. We're going to do another Design STEM video. The next Design STEM I want to talk about is the triangle. Now, the triangle composition for Design STEM is used a lot throughout art history to create a sense of stability. There's a lot of strength and a certain grounded quality to a composition that's built on the triangle. And again, just like when we're doing the circle Design STEM, we don't want to center our triangle right in the middle of our design. So what we want to have is we want to offset this triangle a little bit. And this can be to the left or the right. And basically this is going to give you an armature to build on that's going to, like I said, create a lot of solidity in your composition. And I'll show you, this is a great one to use when you're painting mountains, especially if you're featuring one very large mountain. And you can have a lot of other lines too in this type of composition that move around, but what we want is the main line to be our triangle. So, for example, let's say we're dealing with a similar scene here as some of the other illustrations. We have a road that comes in and wraps around down here over a hill. This is going to be a very mountainous scene. And we have a couple other ridges here. Some trees here. We can have a great big mountain that comes up here. So you can see this used a lot. Cezanne did a series of paintings of mountains where he utilized the triangle quite a bit. And you can see how it's already creating a sense of strength and a noble quality to this mountain.
Noble.
So like I said, we can have other lines that move around in this composition, but the biggest, most prominent line is going to be this big mountain shape here. You break it up and have several ridges within there.
He's not dealing so much in value right now. He's just trying to get the structure of the design.
Some clouds come in here. But again, we don't want to have anything that's going to distract too much from our main triangular shape there.
can see here how I'm using perspective, and you notice I do this in my paintings too. So we're actually using some shapes here to draw our eye back into the actual drawing, into the design. And the bottom of this triangular composition doesn't have to be an exact straight line across there. You could suggest it. So we've got these trees here. We've got a dark tree line in this foreground, and then we'll have some places where that same value shows up over here for those darker trees. And that's going to move your eye along the bottom of the triangle. So we don't always have to have all these.
As you're drawing your designs, you got to squint your eyes and see everything coming together. I have one little issue with what's going on in his drawing right now, and it has to do with the patterns, these horizontal patterns that are kind of all looking the same, even though they're kind of edged differently and their points and things are in different locations. You got to be careful that you don't have monotony of shapes.
Lines, and in fact, the more advanced that you become with your designs, the less obvious these design stems will become. So like I said, we want to learn right now, just to practice them, we can go ahead and make them a little bit more obvious. But eventually, we just almost want to have them hinted at without having it look like we are relying too heavily on just the design.
Now look at how what's darkest approaches, what's lightest recedes.
We could even have a telephone pole here. A couple telephone poles that bring us off into the distance here. So in this type of composition here, our center of interest is actually the strength of this mountain. It's the theme of the big uprising mountain. So we don't have the figures. We don't really need them in this like we did in the other illustrations. Maybe put a bird up in the sky. Some artists refuse to paint birds because they say, oh, that's a little sappy or too cliche. But you know what? I see the birds when I'm out there. They're flying all around, so why not, right? And you'll see this. This goes back to the Renaissance days. I mean, this triangular composition is not just good for landscape. I think you can use it in a lot of figurative compositions, interiors, or still lifes rather. And this is something that goes back hundreds of years. So these design stems are not something that I invented. These are things that have been used by artists for a long time. There's some great books out there. If you want to read more about it, one book that I would suggest getting, and this is just a great book for anyone who's interested in landscape painting or composition in general, is Composition of Outdoor Painting by Edgar Payne, and his last name is Payne.
Yes. Did you notice, in order to make this a greater influence, he increased the contrast. He went in and made this a little darker, so this became an area of interest. Not only a diagonal, but it was the amount of value that he placed to this in order to make this a direction for the viewer's eye to go. Okay.
I like that big, fat, soft charcoal stick.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because, we get so hung up in our painting process that we're afraid along the way. And so you can do an entire painting with one large brush, which increases the possibilities of not only screwing up a painting, but having something accidental happen that is more exciting. So the terminology is to say more with less and one brush stroke instead of 50. And the way to get one brush stroke instead of 50 is using a larger brush to apply whatever medium you're working with. Okay, that's enough of him. Let's shrink him down. All right. All right, everybody have your paper out, okay? This is an image that I took over at, where'd it go? Come back here. Yeah, no, this is Ledbetter Beach. So this is going to be an exercise now. And let me get my timer on here. You've got 10 minutes to replicate this as best you can in a value rendering. Value rendering. So in other words, you're going to do, if you need to do an armature, you can. Look at the rectangle. This is just going to be in your sketchbook. Okay. So you're going to do a value rendering of like 5 values. Okay. Your darkest values, your lightest values, your diagonals. You're going to get your composition working here. You've got 10 minutes starting now. I'll talk you through it along the way. You're studying what it is in front. What?
Looks like about a 2-to-1 ratio, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. So while you're doing that, I'll see if I can bring out a little bit of fun zone here. 2-to-1 ratio. I'll do what I think is
4x2.
I don't think I can do that. See, I'm going to just try to make a square.
Yeah.
See, I don't want to ruin your drawings, so I can go up a little higher. So I don't think it's a 2-to-1. It's a little.
No, it isn't.
Yeah. But we're close. This is probably a root. I'd say a root 3. A root 3. Anyways, okay, so eye level is usually where the horizon line is. You can place a mark. Draw on this again. You know, you've got the center of the format here. Okay, you see that the horizon line is slightly below center line. Okay, if you imagine this format being divided in 2, like so, and then from there into quarters, you can see that that point is very close to a quarter. Hold on, that's not a very good point. I'll try to put some unobnoxious guideposts along the way here. I had a ruler. This is about the midpoint there, here. So observe where the midpoints are on both sides and where the horizon line is. And then you can change it too. You don't have to do exactly, you know, what you're seeing. You can make it a better composition if you want. And then notice the diagonals, like of the beach. Where do the diagonal lines come into alignment with everything? So I just drew a line across from the bottom of the waves on the left to the midpoint on the right side. And so if I were to connect in proximity, this is like a quarter of the way through here. We're very close to what would be called a 3-4. A 3-4 composition. So in our rule of thirds, we've dealt with 3-3. So when you also have what's called a 3-4 on wider verticals or wider horizontals or taller verticals, you can do the same thing as a 3-3, but you can also expand it. You just have a center point on one side. You have a center point, and then you just divide those into quarters. And you would wind up having what's called a 3-4. So once your composition is in, once your landscape's in, start thinking about values and where you might put your darkest values or your lightest values. Notice this diagonal that goes from the top of the tree here up to here. Where does that align? This is by far not a perfect composition. But as I say, you can increase the size of something to make it a more perfect composition. So you can, you could theoretically raise the shape of this tree, okay? So it would fall more in alignment with, say, this line that would go to the corner, etc. And then maybe continue over from there to the midpoint. That's what you can do. That's what landscape painters are supposed to do. They're supposed to change things, move things, eliminate things, lighten things, darken things, simplify things, so they become a better, it becomes a better representation of what you're seeing there, a more idyllic representation. Now, there's a whole school of thinking out there where, no, I'm going to paint things as I see them. And they wind up being more realistic in their expressions. Got 3 minutes. What this is doing too is teaching you observational skills. You're asking yourself about what's my lightest values and my darkest values. What's my warmest colors and my coolest colors? My richest colors and grayest colors?
Oh.
Anybody heard of Ed Breen, the Western artist?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he had his house just up from here. Okay, if you were to walk straight up and onto the cliffs, his house, what you call La Barranca, was right there. And during the Roaring '20s, he used to bootleg liquor. They'd come right in on this here, and they bootleg liquor in there. Okay, 10 seconds.
God.
Oh, it gets easier from here. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay. So, all right. So now, you guys all just spent 10 minutes studying what I asked you to study and try to render to your best of your ability. You're only doing small thumbnail sketches, by the way. Okay, these should all be like maybe 3 inches, no more than 3 inches on one side. Okay, these are just thumbnails, right? Now, you have 3 minutes. 3 minutes to do another thumbnail. Ready? Go. Same image, but different different location on your board. This is teaching you to think quickly, figure out the design, your values, all within a format. It's improving your memory and hand-eye coordination. You can tell this is a photograph because look, if you were standing there on location, you would be seeing, let's see, what would you be seeing? You'd be seeing light there and here and here. You'd be seeing light in the shadows, and over here you'd be seeing reflected light up in here. You're not to blame for not seeing light. It's just that Kodak has its, if this is Kodak, has its limitations. And you can sometimes tell when someone did paint from a photograph because they'll have such contrast in the shadows like this. You won't see any light in there. And it gets very, you know, looks, might as well have just taken a photo. So we've been learning about doing designs and still life. Because if you want to learn design, still life is the best way to go. But the best way to learn color is by painting outdoors in plein air, which means on location. Because when you're outdoors, you see that light on the form and you see the reflected light. You see everything coming together. You're not dependent on a photograph to dictate to you what is happening out there. Okay, we got 10 seconds. And time. Okay. Clear. Okay, you should all be done now with that. Okay. Yeehaw. Okay. I was going to have you paint the image, but I don't know if I'm going to have you do that. Instead, we're going to go on. Okay. This is going to be part of your homework. You've got like 3 things to do, but I think I'm going to simplify it and give you 2. This is a recent discovered painting. I think it was last year. It had been missing forever, and it was found. It was found inside some guy's yacht.
You, honey.
Some guy's yacht off of I don't know if it was Monaco. There we go. Some Arab. It's called Picasso's Dora Maar. All right. So the homework assignment is, and I will send you the JPEG unless you want to do a screenshot of it right now. You may. Let me see if I can enlarge it just a little bit for you. Do a screenshot, or you can find the image on the internet. So we're going to get a chance to study with Picasso on this one here, and do the best you can. But I want you to do this. Do the armatures on it. Okay. Do your Baroque and your Sinister line very lightly. Okay. And you can do a generic armature on it as well. And it'll be really interesting for you to find out where his design armatures all come into play. Because everything relates. The guy was a genius as far as location placement of shapes. Not too sure about color, but you know, that's a different story. He's painting more like a child would paint at this stage, changing things around. Okay, so it's not a pretty picture like the one you just did from Gauguin, but it's more mechanical, more has more structure to it mathematically.
I have a question.
Yes, Cassie.
You want us to also paint this, not
Yes,
just.
absolutely. I want you to paint it.
Okay.
This will be your one painting for the week.
Okay.
Okay.
You want a notan?
I didn't hear you. What?
You want a notan?
You know what? On this one, I'm not too. I don't think you need to do a notan on this. It's pretty damn easy to see. But what you could do is take a picture of it with your camera, like I'll just do right now. I'm going to take a picture with my camera. Well, actually, I don't even need to do that. I could do a screenshot for you. Okay, I'm going to do the screenshot. All right, and then I'm going to shrink down my my board here. Let's see. I'm going to shrink down my board, and I'm going to bring it up, and I'm going to alter it right now, like so, on my computer, so you can see the grayscale of it. Let me get this out of the way because I can't see my. Zoom has got to perfect a way to get these things out of my way. All right, and then mark up. Go to here. All right, so we're gonna desaturate it so you can see the value patterns right now. Y'all see that? Is it right there in your screen for you?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna alter the exposure a little bit. Okay, a little bit of the exposure, a little more contrast, highlights, shadows, a little sepia tone, and then sharpness. Okay, so this has a pretty good read right there, and that's just using what I've got on my computer right there. Okay, so if you want to do a screenshot of that, that's a pretty good black and white representation. Now, just looking at it, look at the rules he broke. Here's a rule right here. Never have a contour line run right into the corner. He is such a bad guy, I tell you, man. He's a good guy, but a bad guy. You know, I mean, he made sure he broke at least one rule per painting. Deliberately. Okay. So I'm going to just save this right now. Now, does anybody need me to send this image to them? Because I'll send that out as well.
Can you send the first image, the color rendition?
Yeah. This is the first image. I'll just bring back the color again on it. Saturation. That's the image there. Okay, all right. Your homework's going to be to find out about this as well. Look, put in Portrait of Dora Maar, find out the context, and when it was rediscovered, it had disappeared for a long time. It was stolen, I think, and then I think it was stolen, and then it was found. I said, on board some guy's yacht.
It was stolen from a Saudi prince's yacht.
Okay.
So
in
are
antiques.
you looking for a copy of this, or are you looking for us to
Yes.
paint it?
I want you to.
Other
I want you to study with Picasso right now.
Okay, so try to make it as much like this picture as we can.
Yes. Yeah. Notice where he is rendering the form here, or where he's graphically producing something. Notice his paint brush strokes, the textures. Notice the simplification of line. Notice his scratch marks. Forge the thing if you can. But again, it's really important that you see the armature to this painting. Okay, because the guy was a genius. He had such a profound eye for shape relationships in his designs. Okay, so
Excuse me, what size do you want it to be?
No bigger than 14 by 11. A little easier to do something like this on a larger scale.
Yeah.
But whatever you can do, just do it. Armature first, though. Armature first.
Okay.
Generic armature. You can even do your rule of thirds on it if you like. Okay, it's, as you notice, it's very similar to that last one. The formatting could be a 10 by 8 format, or a 14 by 11. It's more squarish. But just do your best with that. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of this. And let's see, what else do I have in store for you? Oh, look. This is
Before you go on, Tom,
yes?
when I tried to search for it, it looks like it's M-A-A-R, not M-A-R-E. Is that correct?
I'm
Yes.
not aware of that. Is it M-A-A-R?
M-A-A-R.
Let's see.
That was her name.
Okay.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, that's just like I have it, right?
yeah. No E.
No E.
No E.
How dare he? How dare he put an E? He must have been drinking or something. Who knows?
No,
Anyway,
it's-
I thought this was fun.
Yeah.
Typical art student. I mean, look at this. She's got 2 fans in the room. Look at the cores hanging out. Yeah, she's just an art student. Probably, slightly schizophrenic, I don't know. Anyway, very, very cute. Very cute of her. Okay. Now, if you don't want to do that, this is the other option I'm going to give you. You can see it right here. You do a generic armature on a 10 by 8 format, or I'll say a 12 by 9. Hold on. 112, 12 by 9. Notice I put the vertical size always goes first when you're talking and describing a painting or a work of art. Vertical size is always first. So in this case, a 12 by 9. Okay, and what it is basically you do a light armature, again, because you're going to be removing the armature. Okay, and this is what you call a non-figurative abstract. You can see that there has been simple line work that's been done to begin with. Okay, and the lines sometimes run into each other, sometimes they don't. You establish the overall scribble structure with bigger shapes and things, simplify, and pay attention again to the armatures or the rules of thirds or 3/4. So you can design your shapes to align with those intersecting lines. Okay, then you've got a value scale of 1 to 9. Okay, and I'd like it if all the values are represented within that design.
So we do our own shapes. We don't copy.
Yes, that's correct. You do your own shapes. Okay, this is very similar to what Miro and Kandinsky were doing here. If you can see these shapes here.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way of doodling. It's a way of doodling and integrating and having things happen that are fun and beyond the realm of expectations. Some call it fourth dimensional painting, which is like automatic writing. It's basically the art is just kind of speaking for itself, and you're having fun with the design, changing colors and things. But you don't have to do colors. You're just going to be dealing with the value structure. Okay, so if you have the capability to do a screenshot of this, by all means do so at this point.
But Thomas, it's either this one or the Dory Moray,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Ramar?
Whatever one floats your boat.
With the homework for this one, what do you mean by show some transparency?
Like this here. So show some transparency. See this shape here? See this one showing through here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And here's some transparency here. Here's some transparency. You're just creating the illusion that the form that you're drawing basically can be seen through. Rather than this having it be a solid white, you know, they're giving the illusion that something else is behind there.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And so it's going to test you, but the more variety, the better. But keep it simple. Like here's some transparency here.
Can you show those other two abstracts that you just put up, the colorful
Sure,
one?
absolutely.
I like to screenshot those.
Okay.
Speaking of the veils of transparency and stuff in that one, there's another instructor that does this to magnificent effect. And if anybody has room in their schedule to take another class, Paige Wilson is a good instructor and could use people. So.
What is she? Can you be a little more specific in what she does?
She had a show at the Architectural Foundation about a year ago, and it was like geometric constructions or boxes within a, you know, against a background. But her play of colors, it's very playful and very beautiful.
Yeah.
But anyway, I took her class the previous term, and it conflicted with other classes this term. But
yeah,
she could use people if anybody's interested. So.
Yeah. So look at this. You see here, these are just decisions, you know, decisions you can make how to change things and make them when they come into contact with another shape. Here's transparency going on there. All right, so I'm going to change this up a little bit. You may do this. You may do this in color as well. It might look pretty in color. In fact, I have one that I did back in high school that if I can find it, I'll show you. But I want all values represented in this from light to dark.
We can use colored pencils.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Use colored pencils is fine. And also try not to have too many of the values repeating. You can see they're fairly separate from each other. Even this is like a black, this is like a 0 or a 1, and next to it here they are touching, but but it is more like a 2. And this might be a 3, okay, a 4, back to a 2, okay.
So I just want to clarify, we can do this or the Dora Maar?
Yes, that.
Okay.
But not that one. This one here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
This one here. Both of them you got to do armatures on, and have that experience of noticing where his shapes are all aligning. Okay, you can draw right on a printed image if you want, and then transfer it over to a board or whatever you got to do. But you need to see, you know, like you can see right now that this is going to point and it's going to end right here, which is almost where the rule of thirds would be aligning. Okay. Or here to here to here to here. Everything's going to line up. I had a student last year who put it on her computer, and she had this program, and I can't remember what it was, but it had all amazing line work, and I do have it and I'll show it to you next week, but it's all diagnosed with numbers and dividing dotted lines. So you could see through the lines, and it was pretty amazing, structurally sound. Okay, so there's that. And I was going to give this, but I'm not going to anymore. It's too much work. I'm loading you guys up with too much stuff to do. But when we get into Art Nouveau in that style, I'll maybe hand this out as a homework assignment. Okay. Okay, so what time we got here? Are there any questions? Everybody good?
Can you
On this-
write up the directions to us and send them by email?
Yes, I'll do
Just so
that
we hear
along
about
with
what you want.
the Loomis armatures.
Thank
On
you
the
very much.
second image, you're open to us creating our own
Yeah.
design,
Yes.
this, or you want us to copy this one?
No, I want you to create your own design. Just use this as reference, okay? Just use it as reference of a place that someone's already been. Okay,
Got
but do your own, okay? And again, remember to do your armature lightly, and then we'll be good. We'll be good to go, okay? So a lot of this Zoom stuff, you know, is based on you guys doing homework and then coming back and getting critique on it in this particular case. And I'm exposing you to a wide variety of design concepts. It's like Design 101, but introducing you, you know, to the structures of what other artists in the history of art have grounded themselves in.
So Thomas, can
Yeah,
I ask
yeah.
a question about the number 2 assignment? Would you
Yes.
suggest doing the armature first and then drawing the
Yes.
doodle,
Yes, exactly.
so that you're sort of keying into the main parts?
Always draw the armature first,
Okay.
and then you can play with it. You can manipulate it. You can move things around. You can make them. See, the idea when I told you it's about fourth dimensional painting. We know what the one dimensional is, 2-dimensional flat, 3-dimensional, 3-dimensional in 3D. Fourth dimension is the world that we don't see. It's the spirit realm. It's the place where ideas come from. And if you've ever seen or heard of somebody doing automatic writing, where they go into a hypnotic trance and they allow spirit to move through them, and all of a sudden they're writing and writing and writing, and their hands just moving, and things are moving, and they're flowing through, and this is a form of I'm not having you do that, but there is a form of painting. It's called automatic painting, and that's what the surrealists and expressionists explored, and like Kandinsky and Miro and Matisse. They'd actually let their hands go and let whatever's coming through move their hand, and these drawings and things that would come through would have some otherworldly abstractions. Anyways, they called it fourth dimensional painting. You can actually Google it. Okay, Google fourth dimensional painting, and like I said, I'm not going to have you do this on this one, but you can do the armature and kind of free flow within the armature, and then look for opportunities to align with those intersections of all the lines within the armature. Okay, but keep it free flowing and circular as much as possible. And remember all 9 values represented in there. And you can do it in color if you'd like. Otherwise, you can just do it in black and white. Okay. And now I got to go write it out for you. Homework assignment. And then next week, send them in again by Monday evening, and we'll get them on and we'll look at them. And you can be creative with it as well.
You mean Sunday?
You mean Sunday evening?
Did I say Monday evening? Yeah, it's almost Monday evening here where I am. Sunday evening, yes, please. Thank you. One last thing about this. Your job, too, is not to create redundancy. So be very careful. If you're going to have shapes that are similar, like these two right here on this picture, okay, you've got to make one darker or lighter, okay? You're going to have some variation. This is actually a good tool for that, because every part of every section of this design needs to be different. Okay, I will come at it with a very fine eye, and I will be looking for, monotony. I'll be spotting monotony. All right. Okay. All right. So thank you very much. Is there anybody? Thank you. Is there anybody that came on late today? Like Vaya?
Vicky.
Vicky.
Yes. I didn't realize that the Zoom numbers had changed until I it took me 30 minutes to figure it out. But yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm here.
It's okay. In the first part of the class, we just basically dealt with critique of the
Yeah,
artwork and
I
stuff.
got in on that one.
You got in, excellent. All right, you didn't miss anything.
Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Jenny.
Jenny Sullivan I was a little late, Jenny.
Yes, I got you, Jenny.
Okay, thanks.
I saw you. I went through. Let's see, there was somebody else. There was. I saw Linda. Linda Collins had come, so I got her in there too. So, all right, we're good to go. Hey, you all have a very safe week. Make sure you get out and vote if you can do it, please. We all need you to vote.
Thank you, Thomas.
And
Thank you, Thomas.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you, Tom.
All right, thank you, Nina.
Thomas.
Goodbye,
Thank you.
Bert. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Sam. Goodbye, Wendy. Goodbye.
Have a great class.
Yes. Thanks, Stacy. Bye.
I know.
Well, thank you.
Bye, Julia. I'll be calling Michael tonight.
Okay, sure.
Is it a good time? I mean, I know he's been really busy.
Just touch base with him to see what's he's been teaching this morning. He had said Monday yesterday, but anytime. I mean, we're close by. Do you want to get together? Or you want him to talk to you on the phone?
Probably should just touch base on phone.
Oh,
Right,
well,
this
then
point.
anytime. Yeah, no, then anytime. Yeah, anytime is fine then.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate it.
Okay. See you Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Here we go. And there he goes.